I always believed trust was a bond you could never break. Turns out I was wrong. My name is Frank Harper. I'm 65 years old, divorced, bitterly, retired, reluctantly. And recently, I became the man my son Nathan calls the guy who doesn't get it. Sit back and let me tell you how I lost everything and how I took it all back. Before we get too far, don't forget to subscribe and let me know where you're listening from. It started with a bank statement, just a piece of paper, numbers in black and white, but it hit me like a punch to the gut. My retirement fund, $150,000, gone. 30 years of early mornings, late nights, and sore hands from working construction, wiped out. I thought it was a mistake. Banks mess up, right? But when I called, the clerk's voice was cold. The account was emptied 6 months ago, Mr. Harper. Authorized withdrawal. Authorized by who? I hadn't touched it. That money was my safety net, my promise to myself that I'd never be a burden, that I'd leave something for my grandson, Tommy. I sat at my kitchen table, the statement crumpled in my fist, and called the only person who could have done it, Nathan. He picked up on the third ring. "Dad, what's up?" His voice was casual, like we talked every day. We didn't. Not since he moved to Chicago 3 years ago, chasing some tech dream I never understood. "The money's gone," I said, keeping my voice steady. "My retirement fund. You know anything about that?" Silence, then a sigh. "Yeah, I took it. I needed it for the business. It's an investment, Dad. You'll get it back when we go big." I felt the room tilt. "You took $150,000 without asking me?" "It's not like you were using it," he said, like it was nothing. "You're retired. You've got the house. I'm building something real here. You should be proud." Proud? I wanted to scream, to reach through the phone and shake him. That money wasn't just mine. It was for Tommy, for his college, his future, Nathan's son, my grandson, the one bright spot in a life that had grown dim. But I didn't yell. I hung up, my hands shaking, and stared at the wall where Tommy's crayon drawing still hung, faded from the sun. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept seeing Nathan as a boy, running through the backyard with a toy hammer, pretending to build houses like me. I taught him everything: how to measure a board, how to drive a nail, how to keep your word. Where had I gone wrong? When did my son become a man who'd steal from his own father? The next morning, I drove to the bank. I needed proof, something to make it real. The manager showed me the withdrawal form, Nathan's signature scrawled at the bottom. It was legal. He'd had access to the account since Ellen died, when I'd made him a co-signer to help with her medical bills. I'd trusted him. My mistake. I didn't confront him again. Not yet. I needed to know more. I started digging: bank records, emails, anything I could find. Nathan's business, some app called ConnectSphere, was all over the internet. Shiny website, big promises, but no profits. I found articles about their innovative platform, but also whispers of trouble, lawsuits, unpaid vendors, investors pulling out. Nathan wasn't just reckless, he was desperate. A week later, I found a letter in my mailbox. No stamp, just my name in Nathan's handwriting. Inside was a single sheet, his words rushed and uneven. "Dad, I know you're mad. I don't blame you. I didn't want to hurt you. The business is bigger than I thought, and I needed the money to keep it alive. I'll pay you back, I swear. Just give me time. Don't do anything yet. Please." Nathan. Time? He'd had 3 years to call, to visit, to act like a son. Now he wanted time? I folded the letter and tucked it into my pocket, but it burned there, a reminder of what I'd lost. Not just the money, my trust, my pride, my son. I started watching ConnectSphere closer. I found their office address in Chicago, a glass building that screamed money they didn't have. I called their main line, pretending to be an investor. The receptionist was polite but cagey. "Mr. Harper isn't available," she said when I asked for Nathan. I didn't tell her I was his father. When I saw the look in Nathan's eyes, I realized the money wasn't the only thing I'd lost. I kept digging. A friend from the old construction days, Mike, had a son who worked in finance. I asked him to look into ConnectSphere. A few days later, he called me back. "Frank, this company's a house of cards. They're burning through cash, and there's talk of shady investors. Your son's in deep." "Shady how?" I asked. Offshore accounts, shell companies. Nothing concrete, but it stinks. If Nathan's tied to this, he's not just broke, he's in trouble. Trouble. The word stuck with me. I remembered Nathan at 16, getting caught stealing a neighbor's toolbox. I'd made him return it, apologize, work off the debt. He'd hated me for it, but he'd learned, or so I thought. Now he was playing with bigger stakes, and I was the one paying the price. I drove to Chicago. No plan, just a need to see him, to understand. The city was loud, overwhelming, nothing like the quiet streets of home. I found ConnectSphere's office and sat in a diner across the street, watching. Nathan came out at noon, flanked by two men in suits. They didn't look like tech guys. They looked like trouble. I followed them to a parking garage. Nathan was talking fast, his hands moving, his face tense. One of the men grabbed his arm, not hard, but enough to make Nathan flinch. I wanted to step in, to protect him like I did when he was a kid. But I didn't. I watched him get into a black SUV and drive away. Back home, I found another letter. This one was shorter, the handwriting shakier. Dad, I'm sorry. I can't explain now, but I'm trying to fix this. Don't come looking for me. It's not safe. Just wait. I'll make it right. Nathan. Not safe? What the hell was he mixed up in? I called Mike again, told him about the letters, the men in suits. He didn't sugarcoat it. Frank, sounds like Nathan's in over his head. You need to be careful. These guys don't mess around. Careful wasn't my style. I hired a private investigator, a guy named Vince who'd worked for some of my old clients. I gave him everything, bank statements, letters, the ConnectSphere website. Find out what my son's doing, I said, and who he's doing it with. Vince came back a week later with a folder thick as my fist. Your son's company is a front, he said. They're moving money for some bad people. Offshore accounts, fake investments. Nathan's not the mastermind, but he's in deep enough to drown. I felt sick. Why didn't he tell me? He's scared, Vince said, and he's protecting you. That's why he took the money, to keep you out of it. Protecting me? By stealing my life savings? I didn't buy it. But the letters, the secrecy, they started to make sense. Nathan wasn't just greedy. He was trapped. Finding out my house was mortgaged felt like a knife twisting in my chest, but I wasn't done fighting. Vince's report had another bombshell. Nathan had mortgaged my house. My house, the one I'd built for Ellen, for us, for Tommy, to cover ConnectSphere's debts. I hadn't signed anything, but he'd used a power of attorney from years ago, when Ellen was sick. Another betrayal, another cut. I didn't confront him, not yet. I wanted to, but Vince warned me off. These guys he's with, they're not amateurs. You go in hot, you'll get burned, or worse. So I waited. I watched. I wrote letters to Nathan, not to send, but to keep myself sane. Pages of anger, regret, love, all the things I couldn't say. I kept them in a box under my bed, next to Tommy's drawings. Every night I'd look at them, wondering if I'd ever get my son back. Months passed. ConnectSphere's name started popping up in the news. Lawsuits, investigations, whispers of fraud. Nathan's face wasn't in the headlines, but I knew he was there, somewhere in the shadows. I kept the TV on, waiting for the other shoe to drop. Then it did. A late-night call from Vince. Turn on the news, Frank, now. I did. ConnectSphere was done. FBI raids, arrests, the works. Nathan wasn't named, but I knew. I called his number, over and over, but it went to voicemail. I was about to drive to Chicago again when I got a text. Just one line, from an unknown number. I'm okay. Stay put. I didn't stay put. I drove to Chicago, the folder from Vince in my passenger seat. I went to the FBI field office, demanded to see someone, anyone. A tired agent named Carter finally sat me down. Your son's cooperating, he said. He's been feeding us information for months. He's safe, but you need to stay out of this. Safe? I snapped. He stole my money, my house. Why the hell should I trust him? Carter leaned back, his eyes steady. Because he's trying to make it right. He's risking his life to do it. I didn't know what to believe. I went home, The box of letters heavier than ever. A week later, another envelope arrived. No stamp, just my name. Inside was a single page, Nathan's handwriting. Dad, I'm sorry for everything. The money, the house. It was the only way to keep you out of this. I didn't know how deep it went until it was too late. I'm working with the feds now. If I make it through, I'll explain everything. If I don't, just know I did this for you. For Tommy. I love you. Nathan. I read it until the words blurred. He was protecting me. All this time, I'd thought he'd betrayed me, but he'd been fighting a war. One couldn't see. I wanted to hate him, but I couldn't. Not anymore. Everyone thought I'd given up, but they didn't know the card I was holding. The trial hit the news like a bomb. ConnectSphere's CEO, a slick guy named Randall Voss, was the face of it, but the real story was the data. Millions of people's information, bank accounts, medical records, personal secrets, sold to the highest bidder. Nathan's name came up, not as a defendant, but as the whistleblower who'd brought it all down. I flew to Chicago for the trial. Nathan was in a safe house, but Carter arranged a meeting. When I saw him, he looked like a ghost, thin, pale, his eyes older than his years. I didn't know what to say, so I just hugged him. He didn't pull away. I didn't want to hurt you, he said, his voice breaking. I thought I could fix it. You should have told me, I said. I would have helped. He shook his head. You would have gotten hurt. We talked for hours, piecing together the years we'd lost. He told me about ConnectSphere, how it started as a dream and became a nightmare. How Voss had pulled him in, promised millions, then trapped him with threats. How he'd taken my money to buy time, to keep me out of Voss's reach. How he'd mortgaged the house to keep the feds off his trail while he gathered evidence. I told him about the letters I'd written, the ones I'd never sent. I gave them to him, and he read them in silence, his hands trembling. When he finished, he looked at me. I didn't know, he said. I thought you hated me. I never hated you, I said. I just didn't understand. The trial ended with Voss and his cronies behind bars. Nathan was free, but scarred. He didn't come home, not right away. He needed time, he said, to figure out who he was without ConnectSphere's shadow. I understood. I didn't push. I got my money back, most of it. The house was mine again, the mortgage cleared. But it wasn't about the money anymore. It was about us. We talked every week, sometimes about nothing, sometimes about everything. Tommy came to visit, and we went fishing, just like Nathan and I used to. I kept his drawings on the wall, a reminder of what mattered. Then, one morning, a package arrived. No return address, just a small box with my name. Inside was a new bank statement, a trust fund in Tommy's name, $150,000, every cent Nathan had taken, plus interest. Tucked in with it was a note, just 2 lines in Nathan's handwriting. For Tommy, and for you. I framed the note, hung it next to Tommy's drawings. And for the first time in years, I felt like I'd won. Winning didn't feel like I thought it would. I'd gotten my money back, my house, even a piece of my son. But the victory was hollow, like a house with no one to fill its rooms. Nathan's note hung on the wall, a quiet promise, but it didn't erase the years of silence, the nights I'd spent wondering if I'd lost him for good. I'd won, sure, but at what cost? The weeks after the trial were quiet, too quiet. The town hadn't changed. Same diner, same faces, same whispers about Frank Harper, the guy whose son made the news. I didn't go out much, didn't want the pitying looks or the questions. Heard about Nathan, they'd say, like they knew him, like they knew us. I'd nod, change the subject, and head home to my empty house. Tommy was the only one who could pull me out of it. He was 7 now, all energy and questions, his dark hair flopping into his eyes just like Nathan's used to. He'd come over on weekends, his mother, Nathan's ex, Sarah, dropping him off with a quick wave. She didn't talk much, not since the divorce. I didn't blame her. Nathan had burned a lot of bridges. "Grandpa, can we build something?" Tommy asked one Saturday, his hands already digging through my old toolbox. I'd kept it in the garage, a relic from the days when Carver construction was my life. I hadn't touched it in years, but Tommy's excitement was contagious. "Sure, kid," I said. "What do you want to make?" "A fort," he said, his eyes lighting up, "like the one you and Dad built." My chest tightened. Nathan and I had built a treehouse when he was Tommy's age, a rickety thing in the backyard that somehow survived a decade of storms. It was still there, sagging under the weight of time, boards warped and nails rusted. I hadn't looked at it in years. Too many memories. "Let's see what we can do," I said, forcing a smile. We spent the day hauling lumber from the shed, hammering nails, laughing when Tommy's swings went wild. He talked nonstop about school, his friends, the new video game he wanted. I listened, nodding. But my mind was half in the past, seeing Nathan's small hands gripping a hammer, his grin when we finished that treehouse. I'd thought those days would last forever. I'd been wrong about a lot of things. When Tommy left, the house felt emptier than before. I sat on the back porch, staring at the treehouse, its silhouette sharp against the dusk. That's when I found the carving, NH, plus FH, scratched into the trunk with a pocket knife. Nathan must have done it when he was a kid, maybe 10 or 11. I ran my fingers over the letters, the wood rough under my touch. I hadn't noticed it before. Or maybe I hadn't wanted to. I went inside, pulled out the box of letters I'd written to Nathan. I hadn't added to it since the trial, but that night, I wrote another. I saw the carving today. I don't know if you remember it, but I do. I miss you, son. Not the man who took my money, but the boy who carved our initials in that tree. I didn't send it. I never did. But writing it felt like breathing. The next morning I got a call from Vince, the private investigator. "Frank, you need to see this," he said. His voice was tight, the way it got when he was onto something. "Can you meet me in town?" I met him at the diner, the one place I couldn't avoid forever. He slid a manila envelope across the table, his eyes scanning the room like he was expecting trouble. "What's this?" I asked. "More on Connexphere," he said. "The Fed's got Voss in his inner circle, but there's another layer. Smaller players, still out there. Nathan's name came up." My stomach dropped. "He's done with them. He's in a safe house." Vince shook his head. "Not anymore. He's out. Feds cut him loose after the trial. But these guys, he owes them. They're not happy he talked." I gripped the envelope, my knuckles white. "What kind of trouble?" "Money," Vince said. "They think Nathan's holding out on them. Some offshore account he didn't tell the feds about. They're looking for him. And they know about you." When I saw the look in Nathan's eyes, I realized the money wasn't the only thing I'd lost. I didn't open the envelope until I got home. Inside were photos. Grainy shots of Nathan in Chicago, meeting with a man I didn't recognize. Another photo showed the same man outside my house, taken from across the street. My hands shook as I read Vince's notes. The man was Victor Klein, a low-level player in Voss's network, known for cleaning up loose ends. Nathan had borrowed money from him to keep Connexphere afloat, money he couldn't repay. Now Klein was circling, and I was in his sights. I called Nathan's number, voicemail, again. I left a message, my voice sharper than I meant. "Nathan, it's me. I know about Klein. Call me back, now." I waited, but the phone stayed silent. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept the envelope on the kitchen table, the photos staring up at me. I thought about Tommy, about the trust fund Nathan had set up. Was it real, or just another lie? I thought about the house, the treehouse, the carving. I thought about the man my son had become, and the boy he used to be. The next day I drove to the hardware store and bought a new lock for the front door. I didn't know if it would help, but it made me feel like I was doing something. When I got home, there was a car in my driveway, not Nathan's, a black sedan, windows tinted. I parked on the street, my heart pounding, and waited. No one got out. After 10 minutes, the car pulled away, slow and deliberate, like it wanted me to know it was there. I called Vince. "They're watching me," I said. "Stay calm," he said. "Don't do anything stupid. I'm working on it." Stupid wasn't my style, but neither was sitting still. I started keeping a journal, not just letters now, but a record of everything. Klein's car, Nathan's letters, the photos. If something happened to me, I wanted Tommy to know the truth. I wanted someone to know. A month later, Nathan called. It was 2 a.m. The phones ring, jarring me awake. "Dad," he said, his voice low, urgent. "I'm sorry. I didn't want you involved." "Where are you?" I asked. "I can't tell you. It's not safe." "Safe?" I snapped. "You think I'm safe with Klein's goons parked in my driveway?" He went quiet. "I didn't know they'd come for you." "Tell me what's going on, Nathan." "All of it." He hesitated, then spilled it. After the trial, he'd found an account Voss had hidden, money meant for Klein and his crew. Nathan had locked it, thinking he could use it to negotiate, to buy his freedom. But Klein wasn't negotiating. He wanted the money, and he wanted Nathan's head. "I'm trying to fix it," Nathan said. "I just need time." "You don't have time," I said, "and neither do I." I hung up, my hands shaking. I didn't know who to trust anymore. Nathan, Vince, the feds. All I knew was that I wasn't going to let Klein take what was left of my family. Finding out my house was mortgaged felt like a knife twisting in my chest, but I wasn't done fighting. I met with Vince again. He had a plan, risky, but possible. "We can't touch Klein directly," he said, "but we can make him think you've got something he wants, lure him out, get him talking. The feds can take it from there." "What do I have that he wants?" I asked. "The account," Vince said. "Nathan didn't tell the feds everything. There's a key, a digital one, hidden somewhere. Klein thinks you have it." I didn't. But I could play along. Vince set up a meeting, using a burner phone to contact Klein's people. I'd hand over the key in exchange for Nathan's safety. The feds would be watching, ready to move in. It was a long shot, but it was all I had. The meeting was set for a warehouse outside town, a place that used to store lumber for my old company. I drove there alone, the burner phone in my pocket, my heart pounding. Klein was waiting, a wiry man with cold eyes and a smile that didn't reach them. Two of his guys stood behind him, hands in their jackets. "Where's the key, Harper?" Klein asked. "I don't have it," I said. "Nathan does, but I can get it, if you leave him alone." Klein laughed, a sharp, ugly sound. "You think you're calling the shots? You're out of your depth, old man." "Maybe," I said, "but I'm not the one who's scared." His smile faded. He nodded to one of his guys, who stepped forward, a knife glinting in his hand. I braced myself, but before he could move, sirens cut through the air. The feds. Klein's eyes widened and he bolted, his guys scattering. I stood there, frozen, as agents swarmed the warehouse. They didn't catch Klein, but they got one of his men, enough to keep the pressure on. I drove home, my hands shaking on the wheel. Nathan called an hour later. "Dad, are you okay?" "No thanks to you," I said, but there was no heat in it. "Where's the key, Nathan?" He didn't answer right away. "It's safe," he said finally. "I'll handle it." "You'd better," I said, "because I'm done cleaning up your messes." But I wasn't, not really. I kept the journal, kept the letters, kept watching the news. Klein was still out there, and Nathan was still running. But he was alive, and so was I. That was something. Everyone thought I'd given up, but they didn't know the card I was holding. Months passed. The feds closed in on Klein, piece by piece. Nathan stayed in touch, short calls, cryptic texts. He was moving, always moving, but he was working with the feds now, feeding them what he knew. I didn't ask about the key. I didn't want to know. Tommy came over one weekend, his backpack stuffed with new drawings. We worked on the treehouse, patching the old boards, painting it bright blue. He asked about his dad, and I told him the truth, or as much as a 7-year-old could handle. "Your dad's trying to do the right thing," I said. "It's just taking him a while." When Tommy left, I found a new letter in my mailbox, not from Nathan, but from Sarah. Inside was a single sheet, her handwriting neat and steady. "Frank, Nathan told me everything. I'm sorry for what he put you through. He's trying to make it right, but I know it's not enough. Tommy talks about you all the time. You're his hero. Thank you for being there when Nathan couldn't. Sarah." I folded the letter, added it to the box. I didn't know if Nathan would ever come home, if we'd ever rebuild what we'd lost. But I had Tommy, and I had the house, and I had the carving in the tree. For now, that was enough. Then, one morning, I woke to a knock at the door. I opened it, expecting the mailman, Or maybe Vince. It was Nathan. He looked older, thinner, but his eyes were clear, and his hand was a small metal box, the kind you'd use for important documents. "Dad," he said, his voice soft. "Can we talk?" I let him in, and we sat at the kitchen table, the box between us. He didn't open it, not at first. Instead, he told me everything. The key, the account, the deal he'd made with the feds. He'd given them the last piece, the one that would put Klein away for good. The box held proof, backups of everything he'd handed over. "I didn't want you to know," he said. "I thought I could keep you out of it." "You should have trusted me," I said. "I know," he said. "I'm sorry." We sat in silence, the weight of years between us. Then he opened the box. Inside was a flash drive, a stack of papers, and a small photo. Nathan, Tommy, and me, taken at Tommy's 5th birthday. I didn't know he'd kept it. "I want to come home," he said, "if you'll have me." I looked at the photo, at the carving on the tree, at the letters in my box. I thought about the money, the house, the trust I'd thought was gone forever, and I realized something. I hadn't just won, I'd rebuilt. "Okay," I said, "but we start slow." He nodded, his eyes wet. "Slow's good." The next day, we took Tommy to the treehouse. Nathan carved a new set of initials, TH, next to ours. And for the first time in years, I felt like we were enough. Nathan sat across from me, the metal box still unopened on the table. The kitchen clock ticked too loud, filling the silence between us. I wanted to believe him, to trust that this was the end of it, but I had learned the hard way that trust was a luxury I couldn't afford anymore. Not with him. Not with anyone. "Why now?" I asked, my voice low. "You could have come clean months ago, years ago." He looked down, his fingers tracing the edge of the box. I wanted to, but every time I thought I could, they were there, watching, listening. I couldn't risk you getting hurt. "Risk me?" I said, leaning forward. "You stole my life savings, Nathan. You mortgaged my house. You don't get to play the hero now." His jaw tightened, but he didn't argue. "I know I messed up. I thought I could control it, keep them away from you. But it got bigger than me." "Bigger how?" I asked. "What's in that box, Nathan? And don't give me half-truths. I'm done with those." He hesitated, then slid the box toward me. "Open it." I stared at it, my hands steady but my heart racing. The box was heavier than it looked, cold against my fingers. I flipped the latch and lifted the lid. Inside was the flash drive, a stack of papers, and that photo of us, Nathan, Tommy, and me. But there was something else, tucked under the papers. A small notebook, leather-bound, pages yellowed with age. I recognized it instantly. It was Ellen's. "What the hell is this?" I asked, holding it up. Nathan's eyes softened. "Mom's journal. I found it when I was cleaning out her things. It's part of why I got into this mess." I opened the journal, my hands trembling. Ellen's handwriting filled the pages, neat and deliberate, like she was afraid to waste a single word. It wasn't just a diary. It was a record. Dates, names, numbers, transactions. I flipped through, my eyes catching phrases like Voss Enterprises, offshore transfers, data breach. My stomach twisted. Ellen had worked as an accountant before she got sick. She'd always been careful, meticulous, but this was something else. "She knew," Nathan said, his voice barely above a whisper. "Mom found out what Voss was doing years ago. She was going to blow the whistle, but then she got sick. She hid the journal, told me where it was before she died. I thought I could use it, finish what she started. That's how I got involved with Connexphere." I closed the journal, my mind reeling. "You're telling me your mother was tangled up with these people?" "Not tangled," he said. "She was onto them. She had proof, names, accounts, everything. When I found the journal, I thought I could take them down. But Voss was smarter than me. He pulled me in, made me think I was part of the team. By the time I realized what I was in, it was too late." I set the journal down, my hands shaking. Ellen had always been the strong one, the one who held us together. And now, years after her death, she was still fighting. Through Nathan, through me. "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked. I wanted to protect you, he said. And, Tommy, if Voss knew about the journal, he'd come for you both. That's why I took the money, the house, to keep you out of their reach. I wanted to believe him. God, I wanted to. But the weight of his lies, his choices, pressed down on me. And the key? I asked. The one Klein's after? Nathan reached into the box, pulled out the flash drive. It's not just money. It's everything. Voss's entire network. Every deal, every name, every secret. Mom's journal was the start, but I added to it. Years of data. If Klein gets this, he's untouchable. If the feds get it, he's done. I stared at the drive, a small black thing that held more power than I could fathom. So why give it to me? Because I trust you, he said. And because I'm tired of running. I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to throw the drive across the room, to tell him to take his mess and leave. But another part, the part that remembered the carving on the tree, the boy who'd built a treehouse with me, wanted to fight for him. What do you need from me? I asked. He leaned forward, his eyes intense. Time. I'm meeting the feds tomorrow, handing this over. But Klein's close, too close, if he finds me before I get there. He didn't finish. He didn't have to. That night, I hid the box in the attic, behind a loose board where I used to keep my old work ledgers. I didn't sleep. I kept my old hunting rifle by the door, loaded, just in case. The house was quiet, but it felt like it was holding its breath, waiting for the storm to break. The next morning, Nathan was gone. No note, no call, just an empty guest room and a sinking feeling in my gut. I checked the attic. The box was still there. I called Vince, told him everything. Find him, I said, and keep an eye out for Klein. Vince didn't sugarcoat it. If Nathan's running, he's either scared or stupid. Either way, he's in trouble. I'll do what I can. I spent the day pacing, the journal in my hands. I read it, cover to cover, Ellen's words pulling me back to the years we'd spent together. She'd known about Voss, about the data, the lies. She'd written about me, too, how she worried I'd work myself to death, how she wanted Nathan to have a father he could be proud of. I hadn't been that father. Not then, not now. By evening, I was losing it. No word from Nathan, no word from Vince. I called the feds, got Carter on the line. Where's my son? I demanded. He didn't show, Carter said. We're looking for him. Stay where you are, Frank. Don't do anything rash. Rash wasn't my style, but waiting was killing me. I grabbed the box, drove to the old lumber yard where I'd met Klein. It was a long shot, but it was all I had. The place was dark, empty, the air thick with the smell of sawdust and oil. I parked, the rifle across my lap, and waited. An hour later, headlights cut through the dark. A black sedan pulled up, same as the one I'd seen in my driveway. Klein stepped out, alone this time, his silhouette sharp against the glare. I gripped the rifle, my heart pounding. Harper, he called, his voice echoing in the empty yard. I know you're here. Let's make this easy. I stepped out of the truck, the box in one hand, the rifle in the other. Where's Nathan? Klein smiled, that cold, empty smile. He's alive, for now. Give me the key, and he stays that way. I held up the box. This what you want? His eyes narrowed. Don't play games, old man. I'm not, I said. But you are. You think I don't know what this is worth? You think I'm just going to hand it over? He took a step closer, his hand in his jacket. You're out of your league, Harper. Give me the key, or I'll take it from your corpse. I raised the rifle, my hand steady. Try it. For a moment, neither of us moved. Then a shot rang out. Not from me, not from Klein. He staggered, clutching his shoulder, and dropped to the ground. I spun around, saw Nathan standing in the shadows, a pistol in his hand. His face was pale, but his eyes were hard. Dad, get down, he shouted. I hit the dirt as more shots echoed, Klein's men coming out of nowhere. The feds were there too, their lights flashing, voices barking orders. It was chaos, gunfire, shouting, tires screeching. When it was over, Klein was gone, his men in cuffs, and Nathan was on his knees, the pistol at his feet. I crawled to him, grabbed his shoulders. You okay? He nodded, his breath ragged. I had to. He was going to kill you. The feds swarmed us, took the box, the drive, everything. Carter pulled me aside. "Your son's a hero, Frank. Stupid, but a hero. He saved your life." I looked at Nathan, cuffed and pale, being led to a van. "What happens now?" I asked. "He'll testify," Carter said. "After that, he's free. But Klein's still out there. We'll get him, but it'll take time." I went home, the journal and the photo all I had left. Nathan was safe, for now, but the fight wasn't over. I wrote another letter that night, not to him but to Ellen. "You were right. He's got your heart. I just hope I can keep him alive." Weeks passed. Nathan testified, his face on every news channel. Klein's network started to crumble, name by name, deal by deal. The feds found the offshore account, froze it. Tommy came over, asking questions I didn't know how to answer. I told him his dad was doing something brave, something hard. He nodded, like he understood, and drew a picture of the treehouse with 3 stick figures. Me, him, and Nathan. I kept the journal close, reading it when the house got too quiet. Ellen's words were a lifeline, a reminder of what we'd been, what we could still be. Nathan called sometimes, short updates from safe houses, his voice tired but steady. He was fighting, and so was I. Then, one night, Vince called. "We got him," he said. "Klein. Feds picked him up in Miami. It's over." I didn't believe it until I saw it on the news. Klein, in cuffs, his empire gone. Nathan was there, too, a brief shot of him leaving the courthouse, free. I waited for him to call, to come home. He didn't. Not yet. But I wasn't done. I'd lost too much to give up now. I started digging myself, using what I'd learned from Vince, from Ellen's journal. The feds had the drive, but I had something better. Ellen's notes, her connections, her secrets. There was one name she'd circled, over and over, Marcus Gray. A shadow in Voss's network, someone even Klein answered to. I found Gray's address in Chicago, a penthouse that screamed dirty money. I didn't tell Nathan, didn't tell Vince, this was mine. I drove to the city, the journal in my bag, a plan forming in my mind. Gray was the last piece, the one who'd started it all. If I could get to him, I could end this. For Nathan, for Tommy, for Ellen. I stood outside his building, the city buzzing around me. I wasn't a hero, not like Nathan. I was just a father, tired and angry, ready to finish what my wife started. I slipped a letter under Gray's door, 1 page from Ellen's journal, with a note in my handwriting. "I know who you are, and I'm coming for you." Everyone thought I'd given up, but they didn't know the card I was holding. I drove home, the journal lighter in my hands. Gray would know I was coming, and he'd make a mistake. Men like him always did. When he did, I'd be ready. Nathan called that night, his voice different, stronger. "Dad, it's done. Klein's gone. I'm coming home." "Good," I said, "but we're not finished." He didn't ask what I meant. Maybe he knew. Maybe he felt it too. The pull of something bigger, something we owed Ellen, owed ourselves. When he came home, we'd face it together. Father and son, one last time. The next morning a package arrived. No return address, just my name in neat, unfamiliar handwriting. Inside was a single sheet, typed, no signature. "You're playing a dangerous game, Harper. Walk away, or you'll lose more than you already have." I smiled, tucked the note into the journal. Gray was scared. Good. Let him be. I'd spent my life building things. Houses, a family, a legacy. Now I was building something else. Justice. For Ellen, for Nathan, for Tommy. For me. I called Nathan, told him to come home. "We've got work to do," I said. He didn't hesitate. "I'm on my way." When he walked through the door, I handed him the journal. "Your mother started this," I said. "We're going to finish it." He nodded, his eyes on the pages, then on me. "Together?" "Together." We sat down, the journal open, the photo of us on the table. The treehouse stood outside, its new paint bright in the sun, Tommy's initials carved next to ours. I didn't know what was coming, but I knew one thing. We were enough. And then I told him about Gray. Nathan sat across from me, Ellen's journal open between us, its pages worn from years of secrets. The kitchen was dark, except for the single bulb overhead casting long shadows across the table. The photo of us, me, Nathan, Tommy, sat next to it, a reminder of what we were fighting for. I just told him about Marcus Gray, the name circled in his mother's handwriting, the man who'd been pulling strings long before Nathan got tangled in Connexsphere. His face was pale, but his eyes were sharp, like he'd been waiting for this moment. "Gray," he said, his voice low. "I heard whispers about him at Connexsphere. Never met him. Boss was scared of him, though. That's saying something." I leaned back, my hands tight around my coffee mug. Your mother wasn't. She had his name, his deals, his accounts. She was building a case before she got sick. Now it's ours. Nathan flipped through the journal, his fingers lingering on a page where Ellen had written Gray, offshore Cayman, 2008. "Why didn't you tell me about this sooner?" he asked. "You were running," I said, "hiding. I didn't know if I could trust you." He flinched, but didn't argue. "Fair enough. So what's the plan?" I didn't have one, not a real one, not yet. But I'd slipped that note under Gray's door, a page from Ellen's journal with my warning. "I know who you are, and I'm coming for you." It was a gamble, a shot in the dark to shake him up. Men like Gray didn't survive by being careless. If he was rattled, he'd slip. And when he did, we'd be there. "We find him," I said. "We use what your mother left us. The journal, the drive, whatever's left of her proof. We make him think we've got more than we do." Nathan shook his head. "He's not Klein, Dad. Klein was a thug. Gray's a ghost. Nobody sees him unless he wants to be seen." "Then we make him want to," I said. "We've got the flash drive. You said it's got everything. Voss's network. Gray's included. We leak a piece of it. Just enough to get his attention." He stared at me like he was seeing me for the first time. "You're serious?" "Damn right I am. You think I'm going to let him walk away after what he did to your mother? To you? To us?" Nathan didn't answer right away. He looked at the photo, at Tommy's smile, and something shifted in his eyes. "Okay," he said finally. "But we do this smart. No more warehouses, no more guns. We play his game. Information, leverage, control." I nodded. "Smart it is." That night, we went through the journal, page by page. Ellen had been meticulous. Her notes a map of Gray's empire, shell companies, coded transactions, names of people long gone. There were gaps, pieces we couldn't decipher, but enough to start. Nathan pulled the flash drive from the box, plugged it into an old laptop I kept in the study. The screen filled with files, spreadsheets, emails, encrypted data. Nathan's hands moved fast, pulling up records that matched Ellen's notes. "This is it," he said. "Proof of Gray's deals, going back a decade. If we can crack the encryption, we've got him." "How long?" I asked. "Days, maybe weeks. I'm not a hacker, Dad." "Then we find one," I said. "Someone you trust." He laughed, a dry, bitter sound. "Trust isn't exactly my strong suit right now." "Mine either," I said. "But we don't have a choice." The next morning, Nathan reached out to a guy he knew from Connexsphere, a coder named Riley, who'd gotten out before the feds came knocking. Riley was in hiding, somewhere in Ohio, but he agreed to help, for a price. I wired him half my savings, no questions asked. It hurt, but money was just paper now. This was about Ellen, about finishing what she started. Riley worked fast. By the end of the week, he'd cracked the encryption on half the files. What we found made my blood run cold. Gray wasn't just a money man. He was running a network. Data theft, blackmail, worse. Names of politicians, CEOs, even cops, all tied to him. Ellen's journal had the early pieces, but the drive filled in the rest. It was a ticking bomb, and we were holding the fuse. "We can't just leak this," Nathan said, his voice tight. "If it gets out, it'll start a war. People will get hurt." "Then we don't leak it," I said. "We use it. We tell Gray we've got it. Make him come to us." Nathan looked at me, his eyes searching. "You sure about this, Dad? Once we start, there's no going back." I thought about Ellen. about the years I'd spent building a life for us, only to watch it crumble. I thought about Tommy, about the treehouse, about the carving in the bark. I'm sure. We sent the message through Riley, a single file from the drive, a transaction linking Gray to a dirty senator. We attached a note. We have the rest. Meet us, or it goes public. We gave him a time and place, a diner on the edge of town, public but quiet, where the feds could watch from a distance. Carter wasn't happy about it, but he agreed to have his people ready. The diner was half empty when we arrived, the air thick with grease and coffee. Nathan sat across from me, the flash drive in his pocket, the journal in mine. We didn't talk much, just waited. Every time the door jingled, my heart kicked up a notch. Gray didn't show. Not at first. An hour passed, then 2. I was starting to think we'd miscalculated when a man slid into the booth across from us. Not Gray. Someone younger, sharper, with eyes like a snake. "You Harper?" he asked. "Who's asking?" I said. He smiled, thin and cold. "Mr. Gray sends his regards. He's not coming, but he's watching. You've got something he wants. Hand it over, and maybe you walk away." Nathan leaned forward. "Tell Gray he's got it wrong. We're not here to negotiate. He meets us, or the files go to every news outlet in the country." The man laughed, low and ugly. "You think you're in control? You don't even know what you're holding." "Then enlighten us," I said, my voice steady. He leaned closer, his voice dropping. "That drive? It's not just data, it's leverage. People kill for less. You keep pushing, and you'll find out how far they'll go." He stood, tossed a crumpled bill on the table, and walked out. Nathan's hands were shaking, but he didn't say anything. Neither did I. We knew what we were up against now. Gray wasn't just a name in a journal. He was a machine, and we were cogs in his way. That night I found a note slipped under my door. No envelope, just a scrap of paper, typed, "You're out of time, Harper. Give it up, or your grandson pays." My blood froze. Tommy. They knew about Tommy. I called Sarah, told her to take Tommy and leave town. She didn't argue, just packed a bag and drove to her sister's in Indiana. I called Carter, told him about the note. "We're moving too slow," I said. "They're coming for my family." "We're on it," Carter said. "But you need to back off, Frank. Let us handle Gray." Back off? After everything? I hung up, my hands clenched. I wasn't backing off. Not now, not ever. Nathan and I went to work. Riley sent us more decrypted files. Names, dates, deals that could bring down half the city. We didn't leak them, not yet. We needed Gray to make a move, to show himself. I wrote another note, this one bolder. "I've got your secrets, Gray. Come get them." I mailed it to his penthouse, along with a single page from the journal, a list of accounts Ellen had tied to him. 2 days later, Riley called. "You stirred the hornet's nest," he said. "Gray's people are moving. They're looking for you, for Nathan, for the drive. You need to disappear." "Too late for that," I said. "Where's Gray?" Riley hesitated. "I don't know, but he's close. Watch your back." I didn't sleep that night. I kept the rifle by the door, the journal in my hands. Nathan stayed up too, his laptop open, digging through the files. "There's something here," he said, his voice tense. "A meeting. Tomorrow night, Chicago. Gray's gonna be there." "How do you know?" I asked. Riley found it. An email, buried deep. "Gray is meeting someone big, a buyer for the data. If we can get there, we can end this." I looked at him, saw the boy who'd carved our initials in the tree, the man who'd risked everything to make things right. "Then we go," I said. We drove to Chicago, the journal and the drive in a lockbox in the trunk. The meeting was at a hotel downtown, a place too fancy for people like me. Nathan had Riley hack the security cameras, giving us eyes on the lobby. We sat in a rented car across the street, waiting. Carter's team was nearby, ready to move if we gave the signal. Gray showed up at midnight, a tall man in a tailored coat, moving like he owned the world. He wasn't alone. 2 men flanked him, their hands in their pockets. Nathan gripped my arm. "That's him." I nodded, my heart pounding. "Let's do this." We didn't go in guns blazing. We weren't stupid. We sent a message through Riley, a single file from the drive tagged with a note. "We're here, let's talk." Gray's response came fast. A text to the burner phone. "Room 1408. Come alone." I looked at Nathan. "You're not going," he said. "Like hell I'm not," I said. "This is for your mother." He didn't argue. We went up together, the lockbox in my hand, Carter's team on standby. Room 1408 was a suite, all glass and leather, the kind of place that screamed money. Gray was waiting, alone, a glass of whiskey in his hand. "Mr. Harper," he said, his voice smooth as silk, "and Nathan, you've been busy." "Cut the crap," I said. "You want the drive. I want my family safe." He smiled, slow and cold. "You think it's that simple? That drive is a death sentence. You hand it over, maybe I let you live. Maybe." Nathan stepped forward. "You're done, Gray. The feds have enough already. This ends tonight." Gray laughed, setting his glass down. "You think the feds can touch me? You're out of your depth, kid." I opened the lockbox, pulled out the drive. "This says different." His eyes locked on it, greedy. "Give it to me." I held it up, just out of reach. "First, you call off your dogs. Tommy, Sarah, Nathan, they're off limits." He tilted his head like he was sizing me up. "And if I don't?" I smiled, the first real smile I'd felt in months. Then I pressed send. Nathan had set it up. Riley's idea. One button on the burner phone, and every file on the drive would hit the internet. Every news outlet. Every cop in the country. Gray's empire would burn. His smile faded. "You're bluffing." "Try me," I said. For a moment nobody moved. Then Gray reached for his phone. "Fine, your family's safe, now hand it over." I tossed him the drive. He caught it, his eyes never leaving mine. "Smart man," he said, "but you should have walked away." He didn't see Nathan's hand on the burner phone, didn't see the signal go out. The door burst open, feds pouring in, guns drawn, Gray's face twisted, his calm gone. "You set me up," he spat. "No," I said. "Ellen did." They cuffed him, dragged him out. Nathan and I stood there, the lockbox empty, the journal still in my pocket. Carter clapped me on the shoulder. "You did good, Frank. It's over." But it wasn't. Not yet. Everyone thought I'd given up, but they didn't know the card I was holding. Back home, the house was quiet again. Nathan stayed for a week, helping me fix the treehouse, carving Tommy's initials deeper into the bark. We didn't talk about Gray, or the drive, or the journal. We didn't need to. Ellen's work was done. Then, one morning, a letter arrived. No stamp, just my name in that same neat, unfamiliar handwriting. Inside was a single line. "You think you won, Harper. You didn't." My heart stopped. I called Carter. "Gray's in custody, right?" "Yeah," he said. "Locked up tight." "Why?" I read him the note. He went quiet. "Stay put, Frank. I'll check it out." I didn't stay put. I called Riley, told him to dig deeper. He found it in hours. A hidden file on the drive, one we hadn't seen. Not data, not money, but a name. Ellen's. She hadn't just been building a case. She'd been working for Gray years ago, before she turned on him. The journal was her confession, her way out. And Gray had known. Nathan came over, his face pale when I showed him the file. "She never told me," he said. "She was protecting us both." I nodded, my throat tight. She always did. We burned the journal that night, page by page in the backyard. Tommy's drawings stayed on the wall, the photo on the table. Nathan moved back to town, started over. A small job, a small life. Tommy came every weekend, his laughter filling the house. But I kept the rifle by the door. Gray was gone, but his world wasn't, and I'd be ready. The final twist came a month later. Riley called, his voice shaking. "Frank, the drive. It wasn't just Gray's data. It was Ellen's. She coded a failsafe, a virus. When Gray tried to access the files in custody, it wiped everything. His accounts, his network, gone." I laughed, a real laugh, the kind I hadn't felt since Ellen was alive. She'd beaten him, from beyond the grave. My wife, my hero. Nathan and I sat on the porch, watching the sunset. "She was something else," he said. "Yeah," I said, "she was." We didn't win, not really. We lost too much. Years, trust, pieces of ourselves. But we had Tommy, the treehouse, the carving in the bark, and we had Ellen's victory, hard-earned and final. For the first time in years, it was enough. The porch was quiet, the kind of quiet that follows a storm. Nathan sat beside me, his eyes on the treehouse where Tommy played, his laughter cutting through the dusk, the carving in the bark, NH. Plus, FH plus TH, stood as a reminder of what we'd built and what we'd lost. Ellen's journal was gone, burned to ash, but her shadow lingered. The $150,000 Nathan stole, my retirement fund, was back in my account, thanks to the feds. But money couldn't fix what he'd broken. I pulled the note from my pocket, the one that came with the last USB drive. Ellen left you one last gift. Her video had shaken me. Her confession. Her fight against Gray. Her sacrifice. She'd known about Nathan's dream business, Connexphere, and its ties to Gray's dirty money. She'd tried to stop it, leaving me the tools to finish her work. But this wasn't about Gray anymore. It was about my son. "Nathan," I said, my voice steady. "Why'd you do it? The money. My money." He looked away, his hands clenched. "I thought I could make it big, Dad. Prove I was more than your shadow. Connexphere was my shot. I didn't mean to hurt you." "Didn't mean to?" I said, my voice rising. "You took everything I worked for. 30 years of sweat. For Tommy. For our family. And you threw it away on a dream that wasn't even yours." He flinched, his eyes wet. "I know. I thought I could pay you back when it took off. But it didn't. It was all lies. Voss, Gray, the whole thing." I stood, pacing the porch. The feds had taken down Gray's network, thanks to Ellen's failsafe and the drive we'd given them. But Nathan's betrayal was still raw, a wound that wouldn't close. I thought about Tommy, about the trust fund I'd rebuilt for him, every cent of that $150,000 secured for his future. I thought about Ellen, who'd fought for us even when she was dying. And I thought about me, the man who'd trusted his son and paid the price. "I'm done," I said, turning to him. "You're my son, Nathan, but you're not my family anymore. Tommy is. His future is. I'm giving the money to him, every dime, in a trust you'll never touch." His face crumpled, but he didn't argue. "I'm sorry, Dad." "Sorry doesn't bring back trust," I said. I pulled out the photo. Me, Nathan, Tommy, and tore it in half, keeping Tommy's smile. "Go build your dream somewhere else." He left that night, his car fading into the dark. I sat in the treehouse, Tommy's drawings in my hands, the carving in the bark my only company. I'd won. My money, my home, my grandson's future. But the cost was my son. Ellen's voice echoed in my head. Finish what I started. I had. For her. For Tommy. And as the stars came out, I felt it. Her strength, her victory, my peace, it was enough. If you like this story, please like this video. Subscribe to the channel. And share your impressions of the story in the comments. To listen the next story, click on the box on the left. Thank you for watching.